we have a few minutes for questions, and I've got a stack of cards here. So I'm going to look through these.
Only that's neither room apparently.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Thank you. All right, this question is for LK. What context studies do you take as input to your planning? For example, the crosswalk at First Street is south of the exit from the View, Weston, and Ritz instead of north of it. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this one. The 10th Street roundabout and the crosswalks are to be at 9th Street, closer to all the condos and businesses. So I think it's more about the questions about how do you decide where the crosswalks are going to be?
So, can you hear me?
No.
Here, pass this one down.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to answer the question. It's a two-part question. So let me address the crosswalk at First Street. Now, there's a lot of analysis that's done to justify whether a crosswalk needs to be placed at a location or not. And then there's a lot of review and engineering design elements that are considered where the crosswalk is going to be located. The reason, our preferred location would be to the north side of the driveway because of trying to avoid that right turn conflict that's coming out of the driveway. Well, what happened is, as part of the design, we could not locate the signal pole that actually is holding the signal heads at the appropriate location because of utility conflicts and the length of the arm that's associated with the signal pole. So we had to go with the crosswalkers on the south side. At least that's what came out of our engineering analysis. The second part of the question is 10th Street. I'm understanding that, you're probably mentioning that the crosswalk that's going northbound direction, that particular crosswalk is actually placed closer to 9th Street instead of closer to the roundabout. If I'm understanding it right, there is nothing to do, the crosswalk location really doesn't have anything to do with 9th Street. If you're building a roundabout at a location, the design or the engineering principle that associated with locating the crosswalks with the roundabout is dependent on the number of approach lanes. So what they ask us is, if there is one approach lane, you put the crosswalk back about its vehicle, so that a vehicle could actually stack in front of the crosswalk, and then the pedestrian would actually have the ability to cross behind the vehicles. For multi-lane roundabouts, that space actually increases. So that's the reason why the crosswalk is set a little bit back from the actual approach of the intersection. If you take a signalized intersection, it actually is right at the intersection, right before the stop line. For the roundabouts, it's the yield line comes into the picture, then a little bit of stacking space, and then the pedestrian crossing is placed behind that. That's the proven practice for safety of pedestrians at roundabouts.
Thank you. I got this mic working now too. Okay. Geographically, where was data collected to back the claim that fatal crashes were reduced by 90% in roundabouts? I think that one's for LK too.
All right, so the lucky one today. Federal Highway Administration did a study for all the locations around the U.S. When they did this study, there are about 5,000 locations. And what they did was they took before the roundabout was constructed, the fatal crashes, number of crashes, fatal crashes, and severe injury crashes. And then they looked at the period after the roundabout was constructed and analyzed each location and came up with this 90% reduction number. It's the actual fact that 90% of the fatal crashes were reduced. It's a practical thing. Think about it. What results in a fatal crash? It's speed, right? When a crash happens, the speed of the vehicle actually results in a fatal crash, whether that crash is a fatal crash or not. With roundabouts, you're actually reducing the speed to 18 to 25 miles per hour as the vehicles are actually entering into the roundabout. So if there is a crash that happens, it's a fender-bender type crash. That's where the direction really comes in. It's a common sense thing.
This is a very specific question. I think this one might also be for either LK or Alex. At what point in time will the hybrid beacon pedestrian walkways be in place for 10th and 14th roundabouts? We're looking for a timeline.
I think I missed introducing my operations center engineer, Albert. He's the one who oversees the construction contracts in the area. But I'm not going to put him on the spot. So really the construction phasing is very tricky, right? So what we would like to see is the pedestrian crossing beacons be installed right at the same time the crosswalks are open, but they may not line up to the day. There may be a little bit of a lag as they go, but principally they should go around the same time.
This is a bike lane question. How are you going to handle bike lanes? Marking them with paint, protecting and separating cyclists from vehicles, merging at the roundabouts? I think this might be citywide and specifically for roundabouts. How are bike lanes going to be handled?
Here. So let me address it first. If you're talking about a stretch of a roadway, as where a bicyclist is actually riding along with traffic, what we have adopted as standard is a buffered bike lane. Buffered bike lane is where we provide 7-foot space with a buffer, two stripes, white stripes, which actually act as buffer between the motorist and the bicyclist. That's our standard. Previously, we used to do 5-foot lane with a single lane, but now we are actually, as we go through resurfacing projects or reconstruction projects, we are doing the buffered bike lanes. When a bicyclist actually approaches the roundabout, they have two choices. A ramp is provided for them to ride up the sidewalk, go along the sidewalk, and then cross at the crosswalk, just like a pedestrian would do, or merge into traffic and ride along with traffic through the roundabout as a vehicle. So they got two options. So it depends on the type of bicyclist. If it is a recreational bicyclist, if you're not comfortable, you got the option to ride up the sidewalk. If you are a bicyclist who's really comfortable riding along with traffic, they can actually ride along within the roundabout.
And those will be the same two options we have, the single lane roundabouts, either taking the lane and riding with traffic, or going up the ramp and acting as a pedestrian to cross the street.
Thank you. All right, one for Alex. Can you give us a brief description of the scope of the light synchronization that is planned?
So the light timing portion, so there's two parts, well, there's several parts to the ATMS project, but two major components are the observation of what's going on real time and being able to adjust and accommodate if there's an incident, and the other is updating the signal timing. So when the system was first installed, the Department of Transportation came through and they did a timing project for the main roads, for US 301, US 41, and Foothill Road. Now the city and the county are both doing a timing project for our signals, so the city's working on those city streets, like Orange and Osprey. Of course, we've got a lot of construction going on, but it makes it simple. And then the county's doing the same thing on the county roads. Right now, they're in the process of implementing timing and then adjusting that, so through March, they'll be making some modifications and then giving us a report as to the improvement they've seen on the city corridors that they're working on right now.
I might add that both Sarasota and Manatee counties and the jurisdictions within the counties, with the exception of Northport, are participating in the development of this intelligent transportation system, advanced traffic management system, so that there is communication not only from one end of our network to another, but also with the Florida Department of Transportation and the state highway system, the interstate highway system. In the event of an incident, there already today is coordination taking place so that the delays that result from a closure of I-75 are much less than what they would have been without the development of this system. And there are federal requirements in place so that when we develop our system, it's basically consistent or interoperable with the state system and other systems that are being developed. Sort of like the toll SunPass systems are, you know, you go anywhere in the state of Florida and that works. And they're working on that so that as you drive up the East Coast or anywhere in the country, eventually you'll have one system that would work.
All right, so we have time for one last question. U-turns at Fruitville and 41 are causing traffic to back up heading north on 41. U-turns should not be allowed at this location. How can we deal with this?
You know, I talked to Keith today, and Keith Slater works with the Department of Transportation, and he told me that they've ordered it and the sign should be in, I think it was like the end of March, but they'll put that in. So he's working on getting that no U-turn sign installed.
All right, that's good. We like to do quick progress. So thank you very much to our panelists. At this point, we're going to transition to the more informal part of the evening.